And I guess lately you hear that a lot from me and maybe from other hosts too. There's just the Democrats make it too easy. You know, I laugh all the time when people say, "Oh, a Republican," whether it's Trump or back when it was Bush or whoever, when they say, "Oh, the Republicans they're going to lose," and what is talk radio going to talk about? Oh, what will they talk about? Folks, the Democrats make it too easy. And now they're just making it even more easier with the just absolute ridiculous antics and the I want to say the how can I put this, the bullshit show that is the Biden administration. Folks, they are so not prepared. Let me put it that way. Maybe that's not the best way to put it. They're just not. They're not at the capability, and especially Joe Biden. And folks, I want to express again. I feel sorry for Joe. I've seen a lot of the funny, and they are funny. And folks, you hear me say this all the time. You've got to laugh. You cannot go through life being offended by your own freaking shadow. And that's what's going on today. You've got to laugh, and you've got to be able to laugh at yourself first and foremost. You must be able to laugh at yourself, and then you can laugh at others. So, but I mean, I'm being funny now, but I mean this. And there's truth to this. If you let things offend you, left and right, everything to offend you, pretty soon you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to offend yourself. And you can't go through life this way. You just can't. You'll be much better off looking and just let it roll off. You know, when I was growing up, you know, I was told and I learned real quick, and that was the saying was, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are never going to hurt me." What happened to that? Because that saying's not viable today. Today, it's words are going to be much worse than any physical thing I can throw at you. I mean, one of my look, folks, if you guys don't watch, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the name of the show. It's the show with, you know what, folks? I come on the air and I have Bidenisms. It's weird. Maybe I shouldn't laugh at him. So no. But there is a show, Last Man Standing. If you guys don't watch that, you should watch it. But I don't remember what season, but it's in the first 6 seasons. There's an episode where Tim Allen's the main character, takes his daughter's kid to some kind of kindergarten preschool. And it is the woke of wokeness. It's the woke school they could have possibly found. And basically, they're sitting in the peace circle or whatever they called it, kumbaya circle with the kids, and the parents are with the kids. And this teacher is like I said, as woke as you could ever be. It's as if this show was an insight into what was coming into reality. But at one point, the teacher said, you know, oh, somebody's having a feeling. We're going to validate this feeling and blah, 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 blah. And Tim Allen makes a comment of, well, you know, it's just words. You'll get over it. And this guy says, oh, words. The teacher goes, words hurt. Words are the biggest things that hurt the most, or something to that nature. And Tim Allen looks at him and goes, you know, let's put that to test. Let's go outside. I'll shoot you in the foot with my crossbow, and you throw some words at me, and let's see who hurts the most. So it's just so funny, but this is what this reminds me of. Like I said, when I was growing up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words aren't going to hurt me. And that's what we need to get back to today, folks. My goodness, I learned at an early age, being the height that I am. And, you guys know the story. You know the story when I got to college. That's when I realized how short I was, because when I looked around walking through the quad, all I could see was the butt in front of me. I could tell you what kind of jeans people were wearing. I sure could, because the jean tag was eye level with me. So, but folks, even to this day, people will make short jokes at me, but I don't care. I laugh with them and let it roll right down, because you like I said, you gotta laugh. And so when I see these memes with Joe Biden, Joe, look, guys. President Biden fell down the steps, or fell on the steps 3 times. It wasn't the wind that knocked this man down. And if it did knock him down, how feeble is he? Joe Biden, President Dementia Joe, is having issues. And if you continue to deny it, then you're just kidding yourself. Because you hated Orange Man bad so much, because your feelings were hurt by tweets, you went and put a man, again, you Democrats who tell me I need to judge everything based on the color of someone's skin. I need to base every decision I make on the color of skin. That's what you Democrats are telling me. Then you go and you put the whitest, oldest, segregationist supporting guy into the White House. And yes, folks, if you look back, Joe Biden has been in politics for more than half of his life. And there was so you can go all the way back into the 60s and 70s and look at what Joe Biden was saying. And look what he was saying about segregation. You can look this up for yourself. But you Democrats, your feelings were so hurt by an orange man and his tweets that you went and sent and voted for the whitest, oldest guy and put him in the presidency. And not only, and look, folks, that wouldn't be a problem for me if he was qualified, but he's not. I mean, the white part wouldn't be a problem for me. Now, his past with his segregation comments and things that Biden's made, yeah, that ought to be a problem for everybody, but apparently it's not. Apparently, if you put a D by your name, then all your troubles go away. If you've got a D by your name, you can do no wrong. You can be accused of all kinds of things, and there can be amples and amples and amples of evidence. But as long as that D's by your name, well, you get a complete pass. And apparently that's what you Democrats have done. And some of you establishment Republicans, and some of you never Trumpers, you gave Biden a big old pass. And now this man is in there, and you've put a man in the presidency, a man to head the United States. You put a man in the most powerful position on the planet, who is in mental decline and physical decline. You cannot argue this point with me because all of the evidence is there. And just this last episode of him falling on the steps 3 times, that is because he's in decline. And then when you look at this man try and speak, there's a reason they will not let him do a press conference. There's a reason he hasn't done a State of the Union. There is a reason that he will not answer questions. There is a reason that when he was at the hardware store the other day and the media jumped in front and was trying to ask him questions, and Biden was looking off in the air like he had no idea who he was, let alone where he was, they ushered the media out. They would not let him, a question be asked. Now, you go back to President Trump. President Trump was more accessible to the media than any president we've had in history. President Trump couldn't go from the White House to the helicopter without stopping and entertaining the media. And you are not getting this with Joe Biden. And where's the media? You know, the media that would scream, oh, President Trump won't talk to us. Oh, President Trump, when he gave them every opportunity every day to ask him questions. That was President Trump. But where's the media now? They are simply fine with being ushered out of a room and not being able to ask Joe Biden one question. All they can do is sit in a room and ask Pataki or whatever that girl, the press secretary or whatever, her name, I don't remember. Jen. Jen, yes. Thank you, David. They can sit in a room and ask her questions, and then all she'll do is, we're going to circle back. So she should be named Circle Back Jen. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is like rumble on. I do feel sorry for Joe, but when you see these memes now, they are funny. When these memes about the Air Force One being modified, the stairs, so now there's a seat that Biden can sit in, and it takes him up the steps. That's funny, folks. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent, whatever you are, even if you're a communist. That's funny, and you should laugh. Now, I say that because I want you to laugh every day. I want you to have laughter. I want you to smile. But I want to pause and say that I truly, truly, truly do feel sorry for President Biden. I feel sorry for Joe Biden because he's being abused and used, not only by his wife, but he's being abused and used by the Democrat Party. They use this man. They know he's in decline. And folks, any of you who doubt me, go back and you do some research, whatever you want to do on any platform, YouTube, whatever, and pull up some videos of Joe Biden 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And he's clearly not the Biden, that Biden, he's clearly not today. This man is suffering from onset dementia. This man is suffering physically. And the Democrats knew this. Jill Biden knew this. And that's why I'm telling you the fight that's breaking out is between Jill Biden, who wants to hang on to the power and the glory of being in the presidency, and the Kamala Harris crowd, the Sanders, basically the rest of the Democrats, especially the hard left Democrats. They want Joe Biden out. They knew that Joe Biden was the vessel to get Kamala Harris and the radicals in power. And folks, you should all be shaking in your boots. Kamala Harris is nowhere near up for this job. You want to talk about somebody who is in a position that is way, way, way over her head? That's Kamala Harris. And my goodness, are we going to be in for quite a ride when she takes over? Because folks, the countdown on Joe Biden is on. The Democrats are going to find a way to get him out if he doesn't have to walk out on his own, and I mean literally walk out on his own to where he can't be found one day. And folks, look, I truly am and truly feel sorry for him, because this man ought to be with his family, and they ought to be enjoying the last years of his life, whether it's 10, 20, 30, whatever years it is. He needs to be enjoying that time. The man is almost 80 years old. He's on the decline, and he's suffering from early onset dementia. You cannot convince me otherwise. And he ought to be enjoying his last cognitive years. And instead, they're abusing him so they can gain power. And what a shame. What a shame, what a shame. So, but all right, we're going to get to, I got lots more to say, some about that, and then we'll move on do some other things. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take our first break. We will be right back. This is America's Web Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, join me, Roger B., every Tuesday at 1400 hours right here on America's Web Radio for the Locked and Loaded Show. We will talk about guns, weapons, ammo, gun accessories, prepping, and so much more. So be sure to join us every Tuesday at 1400 or 2 p.m. for Locked and Loaded on America's Web Radio.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
Hi, this is Rocky Blair, former four-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Vietnam veteran. As a board member, I'd like to talk to you about Warriors to Citizen, a nonprofit organization that helps American heroes, soldiers, police, fire, EMT, and their families recover from the psychological harm caused by career-induced stress. Over the last 20 years, broken relationships have been a major causal factor for the highest documented divorce rate and resulting suicides in this population. This program, From Warriors to Citizen, is delivered free to families by professionals, all whom served in uniform and understand the needs to be addressed. I ask for your support, so please go to our website, warriorstocitizen.org, and find out how you can help, either by making a donation or sharing this information with an American hero that you may know. And thank you.
This is America's Web Radio. Would you like to have a show, talk about your business, or express your opinion on America's Web Radio? Just email gm@americaswebradio.com and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
And Back, folks. All right, let's we'll move on a little bit here. There's so much to get to today, and yes, I am going to talk about the supermarket shooting. If you haven't heard about it, there's a reason, and if you did hear about it and you notice that there's nothing being said about it anymore, well, there's a reason, and I'm going to give you that reason pretty real soon. So you stay tuned. But folks, you are listening to America's Web Radio. This is the On Point with Victor show. You remember last week when I said, the last show I said I was giving you guys warnings about the border, and we were talking about the border and how the border's being overrun. And then one of the points I made, I said, you're crazy if you don't think that terrorists are trying to come across that border. Well, folks, I didn't even get out of the studio and to my car before 4 men were arrested on the border, known terrorists or known terrorist ties. That's happening. And those are 4 that were caught. Imagine the ones that are getting through that aren't caught. Now, we are running around right now stuffing our heads in the sand because the Democrats, with help from the sycophant media and with help from the big state bureaucrats, including the head of the FBI and all these other bozos and so-called intelligence agencies, the run-of-the-mill agent, those guys are stand-up. The men and women that are on the ground are awesome people. But the bureaucrats that are running these agencies, the bureaucrats that are at the top, are doing a huge disservice to this country. And folks, we're going to pay the price for it. And I hope and pray we don't, but I'm afraid we're going to. Because these people, the Democrats and these bureaucrats are running around telling you that the white supremacists are the biggest fears that we have in this country, the domestic white supremacists. It is an absolute lie, folks. It is a lie. Trust me, if there were white people running around hurting brown people or black people or yellow people, you would hear about it nonstop 100%. But instead, what you do hear on the news is when they make things up. And when they find a story that they can try immediately to turn and make it a race issue. The only example I need to give you is the latest one from last week, the shooting in Atlanta. Folks, the shooting in Atlanta, all the evidence is pointing to not being racially motivated. There is no evidence, and that's not just coming from me. That's coming from the Atlanta PD, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Department, I believe the GBI, and I believe the FBI is even. In fact, I know for a fact the FBI has also said this because I heard the douchebag. I mean the FBI director, who I'm going to forget his name, but he came out actually and was being interviewed, and he said that there's no evidence right now pointing to this was racially motivated. Folks, let me tell you what you're not hearing about the shooting in Atlanta and the shooting in Cherokee County in Georgia. This guy that did the shooting, he didn't just kill Asian women. 2 victims were white and 1 was Hispanic. Why aren't you hearing that? Well, because it doesn't fit the narrative of the media. The media is running with this story and making it up, trying to make it about race. When you have law enforcement, the Atlanta PD, the Cherokee County Sheriff Department, the Atlanta officials, the Atlanta Police Department, the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, are all telling Joe Biden and the Democrats and the media this guy had a sexual addiction and had a problem and a mental issue. What he didn't do was, or what he didn't have was was motivation by race. And yet still, what are the Democrats doing to this day? They are still out there on TV, on CNN, MSNBC, and PBS, and ABC, and NBC, and CBS, and they're all willing to do it, NBC, and they're pushing this race narrative. And this was not a hate crime. This was not a racial crime. This was a dude that had a very strong addiction and some mental issues because these people in the spas probably wouldn't give him what he wanted, and then he wanted to take him out. In fact, in his interview to police, he said, "I wanted to remove my temptation." Folks, it was not a racial shooting. And this is why I keep asking you, are you awake yet? Are you waking up to the tactics of the Democrat? Are you tired of being used by the Democrat Party and by the media? Because, folks, they're lying to you on a daily basis. But this is what really, really irks me when you've got the head of the FBI and you've got other agencies out there telling we the people, we the citizen, that we need to be worried that the biggest threat to the United States is domestic terrorism coming from white supremacists. It just isn't so. It just isn't so. But what is so are the 4 guys who were arrested last week coming across the border with terrorist connections. These guys had connections to terrorism, and I mean real terrorism. We're talking radical terrorism. And if we caught 4, how many did we not catch? And when we take our eye off the ball, like we're taking our eye off the ball here, what's going to happen? What is the next big attack that's going to come on our soil? Folks, we haven't had an attack for a while. They didn't dare try anything when President Trump was president. But now the United States is coming from a position of weakness. In fact, if you don't believe me, ask the Chinese. I'll get to that in a few. But we're in a weakened state now. We've got the weakest president we've probably had since Jimmy Carter, and Obama. We are not in a strong position right now. And if you don't think these terrorists are going to come over here and try and knock us while we're down, you're kidding yourself. And unfortunately, we might learn this the hard way, because the Democrat Party and the media and the bureaucracy, the machine that is D.C., is trying to convince you that it's a white supremacist out there just waiting to strike, when it's just probably not true. We don't have a mass hysteria of white supremacists out there going around doing massive crimes. If we did, we would hear it nonstop every day. And that's just not happening. But yet we're taking our eye off the border that is being bum rushed. Folks, I told you last week, I told you the numbers. The border crossings, they're on pace to be the highest that they've been in 20 years. People are flocking to the border, and terrorists are mixing in with them. And they're coming into the United States. What are they going to do? They're going to set up a terror cell. They're going to make plans, if they don't have them already, to kill innocent people. And they're going to kill the American citizen. And folks, we can't stand for this. The number one job of the federal government, the number one job of the federal government, is to defend the sovereignty and the American citizen, the sovereignty of the country, of the United States, and the American citizen. I told you last week that the facilities that they're housing these migrants in, over 700% capacity already. And that's including the new facilities. And that includes the container, the containment, the container, those big containers you see on the back of trains and trucks. Yeah, they're stuffing them full of people, folks. You've got 3,000 migrants, illegals, that are being put in the Dallas Convention Center. There is a bum rush to the border. People are rushing the border to get into the United States, and it is 100% the Biden administration's fault. And you cannot deny that. You can't question me on it. You can try and argue with me if you want. Go right ahead. You can reach me, Victor, at americaswebradio.com, Victor at americaswebradio.com. Hell, if you think you have a good argument, I'll put you on the air. But the Biden administration, they're the ones that invited this mess at the border. They're the ones that dropped and changed the policies of President Trump. What President Trump was doing was working. It was working on the border, and we were making huge progress. And by making progress at the border, folks, we were actually helping people. We were helping the migrants. We were saving little girls from being trafficked. That was happening under President Trump. But now, folks, there are 12-year-old girls being sent to the border, and their parents are giving them Plan B medication. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? They're 12-year-old girls that are being raped and abused, coming up, making their way to this border. And they're not being stopped. They're being given Plan B to deal with it. That is a travesty. That's not helping anyone, folks. But when President Trump was there and making progress at the border, we were actually helping, A, the American citizen, B, we were keeping, we were solidifying the sovereignty of the United States, and see we were helping the people of Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico and Nicaragua and these other countries where these migrants are coming from. We were forcing Mexico to do something about it, and Mexico actually wanted to help. And I said this before last week, the president of Mexico is actually a friend to President Trump. And from what I'm hearing him say, he's kind of missing President Trump right now. And in fact, there's a story out today with a Mexican president cracking down on the Guatemalan border. They don't want these people coming through Mexico. And they were making progress with President Trump. And then along comes Biden. And folks, the reason I say this is Biden's fault, 100% the Democrats' fault, is because they reversed the Trump policies. And as if that wasn't bad enough, for months and months and months, Joe Biden was on video, on TV, all the news outlets, and on the debate stage, telling the migrant across South America and Central America, telling them, come rush the border. His own words at one point were, you need to rush the border. That came from Joe Biden. And you've got these people who want to escape their hardship. And I told you folks before, I understand the hardship. I've seen it. I know what these people are fleeing. I know the kind of poverty, the abject poverty these people are dealing with. So I can't blame them for wanting to get to the United States. But we don't need to cause a rush to the border as the Biden's administration has done and what the Democrats are doing. Because what the Democrats are doing, they don't want to help these people, folks. They want to use these people. And that is a downright shame. And I wish that you Democrat friends of mine out there could understand and see this for what it is. What President Trump was actually doing when he was president was helping these people. What Joe Biden and the Democrats are doing is abusing and using these people. And when I say these people, I'm talking about these migrants who want to escape poverty. Now I've said before, and I just talked about it, that not all of these people coming across the border are innocent, poverty-stricken migrants. Some of them had some bad things in mind that they want to do to this country. But how are we going to stop them? Because what Joe Biden has done, I mean, folks, you've got these migrants rushing the border with campaign T-shirts on. Where do you think they got the Biden campaign T-shirts? You've got these tent cities that are popped up on the border, waving and putting up Biden flags, Biden campaign flags. I didn't see one Biden campaign flag flown by the American citizen, but they're being flown by the illegal migrant. Or the migrant who wants to come over illegally. Folks, they're wearing Biden campaign T-shirts. These migrants can't afford to buy shoes to put on their feet to walk the thousands of miles they're walking to get to the border. And you're going to believe that they bought and went and made themselves a T-shirt? No. There is some group tied with the Democrat Party and the Biden administration that handed out these shirts. And you've got... So now the Biden administration wants to act, they want to be confused at why the border's being rushed by a bunch of migrants who are wearing Biden campaign T-shirts. I mean, folks, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And look, folks, I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm just right. And for the Biden administration now to sit around and look at each other and go, oh, gosh, maybe can we put back some Trump policies? That's what you've got happening right now with Biden. They're trying to put back some Trump policies. But, hey, they already opened the floodgates, folks. They already opened them. All right, you hang tight. We will be right back. We got to take another profit time out. This is Victor with the On Point with Victor show. We'll be right back.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
This is America's Web Radio. Would you like to have a show, talk about your business, or express your opinion on America's Web Radio? Just email gm@americaswebradio.com and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the americasbroadcastnetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back, folks. So look, let me get into let's. Oh, by the way, thank you, listener in New York, up there in New York City, the conservative who's lost in the liberal. I'm gonna be nice. I'm just gonna be nice. But thank you, listener up in New York, who just sent me a message and said Chris Wray. So Christopher Wray, that is the name of the FBI director who wants to convince you, or is trying to convince you, that the biggest thing we need to worry about are these white supremacists running around who are committing all these crimes. But not the terrorist. Not the terrorist that's coming across the border. Not the terrorist that, not the four guys that we caught the other day. Oh, no. Don't you worry about that. I mean, they're just going to set up a falafel shop. That's all they want to do. They want to come over and put up falafel shops on the corner. Yeah. I mean, if you believe that, then, well, you just, look, folks, I really hope that I'm wrong, but I'm afraid that there is an attack being planned, and too many souls are going to be lost because we're taking our eye off the ball because of politics. The Democrats are so thirsty for power that they will use any person and anything and any issue, and they will divide as many Americans as they can so that they can have power over you. And at some point, folks, you're going to wake up. I only hope that when you do wake up, that it's not too late. So, all right, look, I mentioned the shooting in Atlanta, and I told you already what you're not hearing on the media. Two of the victims were white, and one victim was Hispanic. You're not hearing about that because it doesn't fit the Democrats' narrative. They want to shove this racism crap down your throat. Every law enforcement agency is saying that evidence is pointing towards this guy was a sicko who went and wanted to take out his temptation. So, folks, again, you've got to start waking up. The Democrats love to talk about wokeness. Well, it's time for you to get woke to their BS. So let me do this too, since the last segment we were talking about the border again. Let's take a little trip down the On Point memory lane, or let's go down memory lane with On Point with Victor. See if you remember this, Jim. Quote, caged kids in overcrowded cells. That was a CNN reporter. Quote, the United States is running concentration camps at our southern border. You know who they said that, folks? Here, let me say it this way. Let me use her vernacular. Like the United States, is running, concentration camps, at our southern border. You know that place down on the southern side? There's concentration camps. Yeah, it was AOC, Occasional Cortex. This is what she said not that long ago, folks. This was while President Trump was president. Quote, children are torn from their families and thrown into cages. Some other reporter, I don't remember who. Quote, we have children being housed in cages crying for their mommies and daddies. We know we are better than this. Well, that was Kamala Harris on the campaign trail just a year or two ago. And now what are they saying, folks? Because the Biden administration already reopened one of the concentration camps that they were blasting Trump about. Oh, yeah, they reopened it, and they've got more people in it. There's more kids. And you know who's still being separated? You know who's being put in one room and the others are put in the other room? Well, the parents are being put in one room and the children are being put in another room. That's still going on. And you've got children now you've got children being put in containers, shipping containers. This is the Biden administration. Oh, but it's not caged kids anymore. See, Biden has a D by his name. So now it's not caged kids, it's camp kids. You know, these kids are just at camp. This is migrant camps, migrant camping with the Biden administration. It's not concentration camps anymore. Ask AOC. Please, some reporter out there, ask AOC what happened to her concentration camps that were on the southern border. Because now they're not concentration camps. Why, no. No. They're meeting camps. They're just a place to stop and have a good time with some migrants. You see how this works, folks? Somebody please ask soon-to-be President Harris. Somebody please ask her. Where's her concern for the mommies and daddies? Where's her concern for the children in the cages screaming and crying? Where's that concern? Because they're still there. But you know what? You're not seeing it wall to wall on the media right now. Why? Because the Biden administration has put a ban on the media. They won't let the media go in these camps. They won't let the media go into where the cages are, or the camps, or the containers, or where they're housing. Let's use that, housing, where they're housing these migrants, the children, where the children are being separated from the parents. They're not allowing the media in because they don't want these pictures getting out. Folks, when will you wake up? I have a good listener out there who hopefully she's listening right now. She's a sycophant Democrat herself. And I can say that because she's my friend, and I'll always be her friend. But I hope she maybe starts to open her eyes to the duplicity that is the Democrat Party. I'm sorry, folks. When President Trump was president, and the Kamala Harris and Biden and all these Democrats were screaming in the media, screaming about these kids being separated at the border and cages and calling them concentration camps. But yet today, the only thing that has changed is it's gotten worse. There's now more children. There's more adults. There's more separation. There's no room for them to put these people. It is much worse, but it's not a crisis. No. There's a D by Joe Biden's name. It's not a crisis. It's not a camp, concentration camp. It's a unified camp. It's a jungle camp for kids. They will call it everything but what it is, a crisis. And the only difference is now it's worse, but you've got a president with a D by his name. Folks, you've got to wake up. And my goodness, folks, you, the American citizen, are being told by the Biden administration that you must maintain 6 feet social distancing. You must wear not 1, not 2, but 3 masks. You've got King Fauci out there who can't make an honest statement, it seems like. And I know you guys are probably getting, some of you are going to get mad at me for that. But I am sorry, folks. King Fauci is not being a scientist right now. He's being a political hack. And kudos, and my hat is off to Senator Rand Paul. You are my hero of the week on the On Point with Victor show. Folks, look it up and look at the questioning Rand Paul gave to Fauci. Fauci couldn't handle it. And Dr. Senator Rand Paul was just laying out a logical question for Fauci, and Fauci couldn't answer it. And Senator Paul astutely pointed out that if you follow the science, if you follow the science, if you have been vaccinated, there is no reason for you to wear a mask. There is no reason for you to social distance. And that's what the science says, folks. There is not one case of a vaccinated person transmitting this virus to somebody. There's not one case of vaccinated people being put into the hospital. In fact, there's not one case of a variant killing somebody in the hospital right now, at least that we know of. I mean, I'm just telling you what the facts on the ground. And if you follow the science, there's no reason for a vaccinated person to be wearing a mask or to be social distancing. And in fact, if you ask me, look, you guys know how I feel about the whole mask thing. If you want to wear it, wear it. But don't tell me to wear it. Because you're going to end up doing more harm, especially if you've got a kid out there and you're putting them in a mask. You don't know what kind of harm you're doing on them, but we're going to learn in a few years. When they grow up without an immune system or a compromised immune system, it's going to go back to these masks. Or then again, maybe they'll have super systems, immune systems, because no one's really properly using a mask. Not many people are. They're reusing and reusing and reusing, so it's getting bacteria and bacteria and bacteria. So maybe in a way you'll put more bacteria in these kids and they'll stiffen up their immune system. Who knows? But I'm afraid there's going to be lasting effects that aren't going to be good. But anyway, look, you know how I feel. If you want to wear a mask, wear it. If you don't. But don't try to tell somebody else to wear a mask and cut this mask shaming out, because it's ridiculous. This has become a political tool. And Rand Paul pointed it out perfectly. Rand Paul looked at King Fauci and said, "You are nothing more than theater. You have been vaccinated, and yet you parade around with 2 and 3 masks on. It's theater." And Fauci could just stand there and go, well, I disagree. I disagree with you, Senator. There you go again. There you go again with the theater. Yeah, there we go again with the theater, Fauci, because that's all it is. If you follow the science and remove the politics, if you've been vaccinated, you don't need to be in a mask and you don't need to be social distancing. And the fact, folks, look, the Democrats are going to triple and quadruple down. They cannot risk losing this ride they're on right now with this total power. And they are in total power. Folks, the next 2 years is going to be miserable when you look at the cause of freedom and liberty, because the Democrats are coming after it, and they are in full power. They have the Senate, they have the House, they have the presidency. And folks, they're coming. And they know in 2022, the American people, by the time they catch wind of this, they're going to throw a lot of them out of office, hopefully. But I do think that pendulum is going to swing. You know, folks, it always happens if you just look. You know, we talk about how history repeats itself, and my goodness, how history is repeating itself. I'll get into segregation. My gosh, folks, the Democrat Party is doing it again. We'll get into that later. But history does repeat itself. And it's happening right before our eyes. So, folks, we've got to take note. We've got to take note with what's going on. Let's pause here and take another break, and then when we come back, I'll get into some of that segregation stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is America's Web Radio.
Quick Stakes. That's QUIK Stakes. Are not just for surveyors. They are great for family and community gardens. Go online to www.quickstake.com or contact your local land surveying supply dealer and get you a box of Quick Stakes. You'll love them every year when you plant your garden. Again, that's Quick Stakes, QUIK Stakes, the truly preferred way to stake and identify what's in your garden now.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rocky Blair, former 4-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Vietnam veteran. As a board member, I'd like to talk to you about Warriors to Citizen, a nonprofit organization that helps American heroes, soldiers, police, fire, EMT, and their families recover from the psychological harm caused by career-induced stress. Over the last 20 years, broken relationships have been a major causal factor for the highest documented divorce rate and resulting suicides in this population. This program, From Warriors to Citizen, is delivered free to families by professionals, all whom served in uniform and understand the needs to be addressed. I ask for your support, so please go to our website, warriorstocitizen.org, and find out how you can help, either by making a donation or sharing this information with an American hero that you may know. And thank you.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back, folks. Welcome back. And before we get back into things here, let me just say, I had a great weekend this past weekend. I went dirt bike riding with a bunch of Russians. And folks, I am telling you, every time I turned around, they were taking a shot at vodka or tequila, or I don't know how these guys were riding, but they were good riders, and it was hilarious because we'd take a break, and I'm going for water, and they're going for vodka and tequila, and it was just hilarious. But I had an awesome time meeting some new now riding Russian buddies. So it was awesome. But after that hard day of riding, I got home and I went and got an unbelievable, delicious pizza from Gala's Pizza. And I'm telling you, if you're in Georgia and Brookhaven, you need to look them up. Get yourself a Gala's Pizza. It's really awesome. So, all right, folks, we'll get back to this. So I have a listener that asked me, what do I mean by the pendulum swing? So when you hear me talk about the pendulum swing, what I'm talking about, folks, is if you look throughout history, whenever the pendulum seems to swing heavy one way, and right now that pendulum it's broken through the left wall and it's sitting in the laps of a bunch of socialists and communists. I mean, it just is. And Marxists. Marxist might be the better word, socialists and Marxists. That pendulum has swung that far. That's who's running the Democrat Party. That's who's running Joe Biden. Joe Biden, I've told you before, he doesn't know where he is, let alone who he is at times. He is not calling the shots. The shots are being called by the most radical element of the Democrat Party, and you're seeing that, and you're going to start to see it a lot more and more, folks. And that pendulum swung. Usually, what tends to happen when that pendulum swings that far one way, it does tend to come back, and it comes back usually with a vengeance, and that's been throughout history. So when I talk about that pendulum swing and why I say the Democrats are doubling down on mask wearing and doubling down on the virus, and they're going to start, folks, you're going to start hearing the virus is making a comeback. You're going to start hearing of the virus doubling here and doubling there, and you're going to hear different strains of the virus. You're going to hear these things start to come out and being pushed by the media. Because they want to double down, because that pendulum they know is going to swing back, and it's going to swing right past the middle, and it's going to go right through the right wall, and they know this, and it looks like that might happen in 2022. So they're going to push and shove whatever socialist and Marxist policies down our throats they can in 2 years, because I believe they think they're going to lose big time in 2022. And folks, God willing, they will lose big time in 2022. I want Democrats to lose their seats. I want establishment Republicans to lose their seats. And I want some good, conservative, libertarian-minded, independent-thinking, liberty first, freedom first politicians to come in and get elected. And hopefully in 2022, that's going to happen. So that's what I mean about the pendulum swing, folks, because history's on my side. It is on my side. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I'm a student of history, and I'm always learning. And if we would all learn from history, we'd stop repeating it. So yeah, I mentioned just a little while ago about segregation coming back, folks. This is how sick the Democrat Party is, folks. I cannot believe that so many people are willing participants to this. Folks, if you go back to the 60s, if you go back and look at who the Democrats were back then, the Jim Crows, I mean, I could go on and on, but I won't. But if you go back and look at who the Democrats were, Robert Byrd, Joe Biden, go back and look who they were, Al Gore's father, go back and look who they were. Look what the Democrat Party was. They were trying to keep segregation. That was the Democrat Party. And fast forward here today to 2021 with this wokeism going on and what the Democrat Party is pushing today, They're pushing segregation again. But this time, it looks like a lot of white, white people, but a lot of blacks and a lot of Hispanics are willing participants to this new segregation that's being put forth by the Democrat Party. If you don't believe me, go look up Harvard University, who wants to have a black graduation, a Hispanic brown graduation, a yellow graduation. Go look this stuff up. They want to have, they're starting segregation all over again. I mean, it's right there in front of your eyes, folks. The Democrat Party has always been the party of segregation. They've always been the party of color first. They've always been the party of you judge somebody by the color of their skin. Don't you dare judge them by character. Folks, it's the Democrat Party. You want to talk about Asian discrimination? It's the Democrat Party and colleges that are recently, not just the last few years, that have been saying there's too many Asians in our college. They said this not that long ago. It is the Democrat Party and colleges that are trying to put a ban, not a ban, so to speak, but put more restrictions on Asians because they said there's too many in their schools. I mean, folks, the Democrat Party gives you example after example after example after example how they judge everyone by the color of their skin. And they want to put you in a skin box or a color box or a victim box. And now they're openly putting forth segregation. You need to have your own graduation. You should have your own lunch table. You're this spot, you're that spot. Have your own black gym. I mean, is that coming next? Your brown gym, your yellow gym? I mean, folks, it is ridiculous, and it's coming from the Democrat Party. These people don't care about your welfare. These politicians and this establishment politicians that run D.C. don't care about your welfare. They care about their next voting block. And if you are a sycophant Democrat black voter or Hispanic voter out there, mostly let me speak directly to the black voter out there who's still voting Democrat. They've been abusing and using your vote for years and years and years. They're about to kick you to the side. They're about to kick you to the curb. The reason that the Democrat Party wants to flood the United States with illegals is because they want a new dependent voting class. And that will be the brown Hispanic illegal voting class. That is what the Democrats want. The Democrats want to flood the country with illegals and find a way to make them legal so they can vote. So if you are a black voter out there and you're still married to the letter D, and you haven't realized that they've been abusing and taking advantage of you and taking advantage of your vote because you vote for them every 2 years and every 4 years, but yet you complain about the same problems every 2 and 4 years. So nothing has been done for your welfare, but yet you still vote for them. Well, now you're going to be kicked completely to the curb because as soon as the Democrats can cultivate that new dependent class that will be the Hispanics, that's the new dependent class they're working on. That Hispanic dependent class that they can depend on their vote. Once they can abuse that class for their vote, then they're kicking your black vote right to the curb. And then where are you going to be? Are you going to wake up finally and come to the conservative side, to the libertarian side, to the independent side? I'm not telling you to go run and jump into the lap of the establishment Republican, but I'm telling you to give a conservative Republican a look. And in fact, many of you black voters are already doing that. And some of you Hispanic voters are too. You're already coming over and you're taking a look. You voted for Trump, and many of you are coming over now and you're looking at the conservative, libertarian, independent, American-loving politician. And that's what we need to happen. So I welcome you all. I welcome you when you realize that your vote is being completely abused and taken advantage of by the Democrat Party, then I welcome you over. Come over to the conservative, libertarian, independent, freedom-loving, liberty-loving, America-loving side. We will welcome you. We don't give a rat's you-know-what the color of your skin is. As long as you love the United States, you love being an American, that is what we care about. You love freedom. You love your independence. You love liberty. You love capitalism. You want to participate in capitalism. You want to do it so you can take care of yourself. And then you can take care of your family. And then you can take care of your friends. And then you can take care of people that you don't know from Adam. That, my friends, is the conservative, libertarian, independent, freedom-minded, liberty-loving candidate that we need. That's what I support. That's why you won't hear me. You'll never hear me call myself a Republican. But you will hear me say that I'm a conservative, libertarian, independent, America-loving, freedom-loving, liberty-living American. And that, my friend, is how we save this country. It's how we're going to save this country. So let me get to one more thing before we go, because on this note, I am going to have to leave. But let me get to one thing, folks. There was a shooting the other day in the supermarket, yesterday or the day, I think it was yesterday, in a supermarket. And if you've heard about it, great. If you're wondering why you're not hearing any more about it, let me tell you why. The shooter, you want to know what the shooter's name was? The shooter's name yesterday, who shot people, killed people in the supermarket, Ahmad Aliwi Alisa. So it's Ahmad Aliwi Alisa. That is the shooter's name, and that is why you're not going to hear much more about this shooting that took place yesterday in the supermarket, because they can't call it a hate crime. They might try, but they're not going to be able to call it a hate crime because this was straight up terrorism, folks. And this is what I'm telling you. This is what we've got to be on the lookout for, folks, and why we've got to fix this problem at the border. So, all right, folks, that's about all we have for today. We're going to end the show here, but hey, look, listen. We're in the greatest country on the planet, and we will survive this, folks. We will. I just need you to find your inner love for Americanism. I need you to be proud to be an American. I need you to know what it's like to love freedom and love liberty and have the appreciation for it, because we can save this country, folks. We have to put up with some stupid, ridiculous policies for the next 2 years, but we can come together. And in 2024, folks, I feel like we're going to be saying President Ron DeSantis, folks. I just kind of feel like. Do you feel that? I feel like that's coming too. All right, folks, you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll be back next week. Don't you miss it. This has been Victor with On Point with Victor.
Quick Steaks, that's Q-U-I-K Steaks, are not just for surveyors. They are great for family and community gardens. Go online to www.quicksteak.com